A holder of restricted securities, securities that haven't been registered for sale pursuant to the Securities Act, is able to resell its securities through a variety of different approaches. Of course, it can have the issuer register the resale of those securities under the Securities Act pursuant to a resale registration statement. A holder also can rely on 4A1.5 or 4A7 to resell the securities. However, in either case, 4A1.5 or 4A7, the transferee still receives securities that are restricted. Rule 144 provides a non-exclusive safe harbor for public resales of restricted securities. This means that a person that satisfies the conditions of Rule 144 can resell its securities and be assured that in connection with the transaction, it's not going to be viewed as an underwriter as defined under the Securities Act, and the transferee receives clean shares that are fungible with the shares that trade on an exchange. There are a number of basic requirements for Rule 144. Affiliates or control persons of the issuer are subject to more stringent requirements than non-affiliates. Sellers who are not affiliates at the time of sale and haven't been affiliates for the 3 months preceding the sale have to comply only with a holding period requirement and with the current public information requirement. The current public information requirement requires that certain information about the issuer be publicly available in order for the holder of the restricted securities to rely on the Rule 144 safe harbor. A holding period also has to be satisfied. There's a 6-month holding period for restricted securities of an issuer that's been a reporting company for at least 90 days, and a 1-year holding period for restricted securities of a non-reporting company. An affiliate also has to satisfy volume limitations. The amount of securities that can be sold in any 3-month period of time for a listed company is limited to the greater of 1% of the shares of that class outstanding, or the average weekly trading volume during the 4 calendar weeks preceding the filing of a Form 144. In addition, in the case of equity securities, the holder has to satisfy certain manner of sale requirements and also provide a notice of sale. Rule 144 is the most commonly used approach for resales of restricted securities as well as control securities. Control securities are securities, whether or not registered or sold in a registered offering, that are held by a person who directly or indirectly controls the issuer, an affiliate or control person. It's presumed that a director or an officer of a company are considered control persons. In terms of choosing how to resell securities, whether in reliance on Rule 144, 4A1.5, and 4A7, a holder of restricted securities is going to take into account if it's subject to the volume requirements as well as the price that it's able to obtain for the securities in connection with a resale. As I mentioned, the securities that are sold pursuant to Rule 144 are going to be clean securities in the hands of the transferee. That's not the case in connection with 4A1.5 transactions or sales made pursuant to the newest resale exemption 4A7. As a result, it's very common to rely on Rule 144 for resales of securities.